Welcome back to Travails, everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at this 1950s hand-cranked lawnmower and answering the question, will it run? Okay, so here's the machine in all its glory. This is exactly how it has come out of storage. It's been locked up in this garage for a good few years, has not been started in all that time. So let's take off the tarpaulin and have a look around it. What we've got here is a grass collection box in questionable condition. But it's not originally green, it was this Qualcast red, and you can see the logo on there still. It's been repaired quite a few times already. So what we've actually got here is a single cylinder petrol hand cranked engine. It's got a carburetor at the back there. It's 2-stroke. It runs on a mixture of what's it sound here? Can't even get this off. So there you go. You got that thing in there is actually the dosing cup, and it says 4 measures of castor oil oil to 1 gallon of petrol. Shake well. So 2-stroke in there. It comes with this rather neat little starting handle, which goes onto the crank here. And yeah, good to hear it's not seized. Right, I'm not expecting it to start, so let's get some tools and get inside it. Okay, let's take out the spark plug. First thing we're going to do is see if we've got any spark. This is a Champion spark plug. It's quite big actually, so I think it's probably original. Get a small adjustable spanner. Although it does look like there is a spark plug adapter here. We'll see what I mean in a second. Let's have a look at the plug. Yeah, it's quite an unusual plug, that. 2 big heavy electrodes. It looks pretty fouled, so I will clean that up slightly. You see what I mean about the adapter? There's what looks like the spark plug itself, and then around it this larger piece. So I'll just clean that up, and then we'll put it back onto the cable, crank it, and see if we get any sort of fire coming out of it. To be honest, I'm not expecting much from this, given how long it's been sitting, and we don't want to lose that. Let's just put that out of the way. Right. Hopefully we'll get an earth from that. And then we take our starting handle, put it on the crank. Let's see what happens. Oh look, there's a spark. Don't know if you guys can see that. Let me try and darken this up a bit. Yeah, there's definitely a good spark there. Right. So you know what's going to come next. I'll tell you what I've got. I'm going to dribble a little bit of petrol down here. So there's just a bit of straight unleaded there. And by the way, these Calpol syringes that you use for the kids are excellent for this. You just squirt a bit down there. There you have about 2 mils, no more than that. Whip that up, nip it up. That is loose, and the reason is I forgot to put the washer back on. The washer that I said remember to put back on. we'll just give it a spin over, see if it pops off. Make sure that's nice and tight. What do you reckon the chances are? I say because there's spark, unless I've completely flooded it, I say we've got a good chance of this popping off. Let's see. Should we choke it? Yeah, let's choke it. There we go. She lives. And before we try and get it to run from the tank, I'm just going to show you around the rest of the machine. You got these quite nice oak handles here, which are actually very comfortable. You've got the throttle here, very simple, but you know, really quite high quality component there. Down here, this is the clutch, and that operates this cable here, which goes down to the arm on the drum. What's interesting is this is a two-stage clutch. You've got the handle there, and then that locks on and off, so you can lock it, you know, disengage it by just pulling that little thumb switch there. The problem is at the moment, when it's like this, it should effectively be in neutral, and the roller should be able to rotate by itself. But as you can see, I'm putting all my weight into pulling that, and it's not rotating. It's just dragging. So that is seized. So we will have to do something about that. I suspect what I'll do is actually just wait until it's running, and then try and sort of jar it off by dumping the clutch. See if that helps us at all. Down underneath the fuel tank there, you got the fuel tap just there. And this is a relatively new fuel line. The old one was dreadful. And you got the air intake there, and the rest of the carburetor, and then you've also got a tickler, which is that device there. That just depresses the float so that you can get petrol into the float bowl, and that drives. So yeah, you got the cylinder, exhaust pipe here, flywheel, and the electrics underneath it there, and then that all drives this sprocket here, which drives that sprocket onto that rather exposed chain, and then that goes into this crankcase here, which drives another train to the roller, and then down there you've got the blades and the main blade underneath fixed. And at the front you got these 4 oak rollers, which are again a replacement, but still in relatively good condition. So let's try and have a look at the fuel system and make sure we've got clean fuel flowing through. I suspect that because this, you can see up there, there's quite a bit of rust around that neck there, but you can see there's fuel in it. But I suspect that is going to be absolutely disgusting. Okay, so I'm just going to disconnect this fuel line here, and then drain off the tank. Now hopefully this tap here will work, and it won't all start to piss out as soon as we remove this pipe. It's pretty stiff. What about if I try and pull it down? There we go, finally off. That's, even though that's relatively new, that's become quite stiff. Right, let's see what sort of state this fuel's in. That's a good start. Nothing's coming out. Okay. Yeah, there is fuel in it. Right, we'll have to do it the other way. And take the tap off. And then I bet you that tap is going to be completely and utterly blocked with muck. So we're looking here at all Imperial tooling, obviously. It's been a 1950s British engine. British machine with an engine probably of 1930s design. The correct size finally is 1/4 inch Whitworth. Just give it a little help there. Wow. Can you see the colour of that? That's pretty grim. Yeah, there's big chunks of rust as well. Okay. And not unexpected, I have to say. There we go, that looks like cold tea. That's pretty vile. Now, if you're wondering why there wasn't any fuel getting through, that's probably the reason. The top of the tap absolutely full of rust and shite. So I'm just going to set at it with a little pick here. But I've got to be careful because there might be a filter down there. Actually, it doesn't feel like it, and yeah, the piece of wire will go all the way through. There you go. Right, we're through. Right, I'll just give that a bit of a clean up, and then we'll have a look at the tank. Okay, that's the tap cleaned out. All I did really was just spray some WD-40 down it. Moved out most of the guns. You can see through it now. The tap itself operates quite nicely as well. So this really isn't in bad condition, and that can now go back on the machine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that gasket either. As for inside the tank itself, it's not quite as bad as I was expecting. There's no holes that I can see, apart from the outlet. There is some rust above the waterline, as it were, which you might be able to see there. But it's not quite as bad. So I think we can save it and use it. So I've given the fuel filler cap a bit of a clean up. And there's a nice stamping on there, patent number. And the top here is aluminium. No, the top is steel. This tube is aluminium. And I was, while brushing this bit here, I thought that's a lot of rust coming off it, and noticed it is in fact a gasket of some sort. So I'm going to stop doing that. What I'm going to use this for is to, what I'm going to do is use this old fuel, fill this up just to try and work out what is the capacity of this cup, because it says here 4 measures of this cup of oil to 1 gallon of petrol, and we use that to work out what the fuel ratio is. I'm not going to use this fuel in the engine, of course. It is completely disgusting, but we can use it to try and find out what the ratio is. Chances of this not going everywhere. I think I got away with it. Looks like old Chemical Charlie's got away with it. Right, so that appears to be somewhere between well, perhaps just over 50 mils. So let's call that somewhere between 50 and 60. 4 of those, about 280 mils for 1 gallon, 1 imperial gallon. So I'll go away, do the maths, and we'll find out what the ratio is. Okay, to clean out the tank, all I'm going to do is just spray a bit of WD-40 in here and sluice it around, and then I will get a rag like that one there. I'll put it inside the tank and try and move it around as best I can with a pair of long nose pliers, and just get the worst of the grease and the gum out of it. I'm just going to slosh the tank about from left to right, and hopefully you'll see a load of fluid coming out of it at the bottom. And there's a lot of debris has come out as well there, out onto that rag. So I've obviously done something right there. There isn't even a piece of grass. Yeah, you can see there some of the lumps of rust and muck that have come out of that tank there, and on that strut there as well, just there, there's huge lumps of muck as well, so well worth doing. Okay, next up, I think we should take a little look at the carburetor. I've cleaned out the tank as best I can, and it's certainly cleaner than it was. It's not by no means perfect, but nothing here is. And I've refitted the tap, and let's get this off and have a look. Given how dirty the tank was and how much muck was in it, I think it's reasonable to assume that some of that has found its way down here. Lovely, lots of brass fittings on this machine, which is very nice to see. It was obviously quite high quality back in its day. But I suspect when I open up this float bolt, it's going to be pretty vile in there. Any markings on this, I wonder? V58C. Villiers. Yeah, little Villiers carburetor there. I wonder if it will come out of this. That would be helpful. Nope. Don't know if it's intended to. Okay. There was nothing in the float bolt apart from the float. We've got some markings underneath there. It says Mark II, patent abroad, and a serial number. But just looking at all this, doesn't appear to be in too bad condition. Let's have a little inspection underneath there. Yeah, to be honest, that looks like corrosion rather than dirt. Yeah, it is just corrosion, so that's not as bad as I was expecting. I'll just clean that up, put it back together, and blow through the jets and the ports. Okay, so I've moved outside because it's slightly better light, but I've made up some 16:1, put that in the tank there, and we've got the fuel tap open, and by holding down that brass device there, that should allow fuel into the carburetor, because that is simply a plunger that acts upon the float, holds it down and lets fuel flow in. But I'm holding that down, and you should eventually see fuel coming out of the air intake as the float valve fills up and it overflows. And even before that, you should see some sort of petrol haze coming out of the intake there, but you can't. It's not a pump, but sometimes you do this, it helps to free it off. So there is no fuel coming in, so there is a blockage somewhere. So we're gonna have to take that apart again and find out. Okay, I think I found our problem. You open up the fuel tap and nothing, or virtually nothing, comes out of there. So I think we've got either a collapse in the pipe, which sometimes happens with these cheap rubber pipes. They delaminate on the inside, or once again that tap is blocked, because that's how much is coming through, and you won't do much with that. Okay, so to answer the question, where is the blockage? Is it in the pipe or the tap? The answer is in both. Hopefully you can just about see in there. There is a blockage about 1 centimetre in, and also if we put the jug in place and open up the tap, nothing comes out. So there is a blockage in the tap as well. So I will go and unblock that. I think I'll just put a if I can't get that pipe unblocked, I will just put in a new clear plastic one so that you can actually see when the fuel is coming through, and we'll try again. Okay, I did manage to clean out the rubber tube. There was a little bit of muck in there, and the main fuel tap is now also clear, but you can see from the muck in the bottom of there that there was quite a bit of debris still left in that tap. So I'm just going to run it through, hopefully drag out the rest of any debris that's in the tank, and then refill it. I just managed to get the tap cleared just by poking a bit of wire up there whilst it was open. Nothing more complex than that. Okay, that's all connected back up. Let's see if we get fuel coming through. So tap open, although that is now in the bloody way. And let's hold the tickler down, and we should see fuel coming out of the air intake gauze there. Nothing as yet, and no fuel haze. As I said, I'm not pumping this, I'm just trying to free it up if it is indeed blocked. And still nothing coming through. I'll bring you back. Okay, I figured out why there's no fuel coming through. It's because it's all there in that jug still. Okay, let's try again. Let's hold down the tickler. Right, we've got fuel coming through. And it does seem to stop dripping when I release the plunger, so that's a good sign. So I think actually we'll try and go for a start. Yes, so a little confession to make there. I didn't actually manage to get it running off the carburetor. I cranked it for quite a long time and nothing happened, not even a fire. And so having checked that I still had spark, I decided to, just for my own morale, drop a bit of fuel down into the spark plug hole using the old Calpol dropper. And it fired up, as you saw. Obviously quite smoky because there's obviously a fair bit of oil in there, but that's not a bad thing. At least it means it won't seize up. So what I'm going to do now is try and find out why there is fuel obviously in here, but there's no mixture getting into the cylinder. So I'll take off the carburetor again and maybe have a look at this induction side of things here, see if there's any reason why the mixture is not getting through to the cylinder.